I welcome you to this module, and in this module, we're going to be looking at elements used in motion design. Simply put, motion design elements. So, before I go into each of these elements and explain them individually, let me just quickly give you a brief idea of what elements. So, I know you've probably heard of the word elements before, but when we're talking about elements, like in regards to what we are discussing here, elements simply refer to just single things that, when combined together, helps us to get a particular result. So they are each of them, like one, two, three. When we combine them together, allows us to get a particular result. The best way to explain this so you understand is, let's say you're going out and you dressed very nicely, and while you're going out, somebody looks at you and say, I really love the dress you're putting on. I really love the way you style this your dress. Now, what the person is saying is that everything you are actually wearing is making sense. The combination of everything, how it looks is so beautiful, and that's what the person is saying. So the person is not saying that I like your shoe, I like your shirt, I like your trouser. He's saying everything. So your shirt is part of the things you're wearing, your trousers is part of it, your sneakers, your cap, maybe you have a wristwatch, you have a sunshade, something, everything is adding together to what the person is saying. So when we're talking about elements, we're talking about those single things that when we combine them allows us to get a very great motion design. So each of these elements are what we're going to be discussing now. So let's take it one after the other. The first one is typography. Now, typography are simply text. So when we say type, from the word type, we refer to as typography. So animated text. So animated text is a crucial component that we use for titles. We also use them for captions and for dynamic storytelling. Now, when we have text, typography is a very core aspect of motion design, and that's even why it is the first, because you cannot have designs, functional designs, without text. You want to communicate, and the best way to communicate is using your text, right? So it allows you to create your titles, beautiful captions, dynamic storytelling, and stuff like that. Now, your typography can move, it can transform, it can interact with other elements to convey a particular message or a particular story. So the first elements that we use most times is your typography. And the second one we have is your shapes and your icons. Now, basic geometric shapes and icons are often animated to illustrate concepts, to create transition, and to add visual interest. Now, you see these shapes and icons, sometimes you just add them to just make the videos nice, and sometimes we add them to exaggerate on a particular message, and sometimes we just add them to buttress a particular point, right? We actually want to talk about, right? So shapes and icons, like your normal shapes, and then when we're talking about icons, we're talking about, like, you can download maybe your stickers and stuff like that, add them to your videos to make it look much more nice. Now, the next one we have is colors. Now, colors are used to evoke emotions, they are used to highlight important elements, and they're also used to maintain consistency in the branding. For example, if I'm to make videos for Addis Academy, then I must make sure I'm using the green color, I'm using the light green color, I'm using the lemon green color, and I'm using yellow, right? I'm also using the dark green color. Now, each of these colors, they are part of our identity as a brand. So if I want to work on motion designs, I must find a way to ensure these colors are there. I would not go and bring in a blue color and put there, right? Because it's not part of the identity. So, and aside from that, colors also evoke emotions. If I want to create a like emotion design for Valentine, I would not use a black and a blue color. I would want to use a white and red color, right? Because of the emotions I want to give out, right? Or because of the message I want to communicate. So colors are a very key part of emotion designs, key elements, right, of emotion design. And we have imagery. Now, visual assets can be animated to add depth and context to a narrative. So your images can be your background images. They can also be your foreground images, like maybe your model image or any other image you just have. You can use them to beautify your videos. You can also use them to add context to your videos. So let's say, for example, you want to say the guy is very happy. So when you want to put happy, you can add an image of somebody happy to it. It allows it to look much more nice. Or you can also add a sticker of somebody happy. It allows it to look much more, it allows the message to be much more constructive, right? Yet, so it adds context to the narrative. And then we also have lines and paths. Now, lines guide the viewer's eye. It also creates movement. So lines allows for movement. We're talking about motion videos, so you can draw whatever you like. When we're talking about your flyers, there are some things you cannot really use. Like you cannot draw a line from maybe a particular phone number to a particular name. You may not be able to do that in your text or in your normal flyers. But in motion videos, you can do it. So let's say, for example, you want to say call this number. You can use a line to draw a path from that call this number to the actual number. It allows people to like, let me just copy the number, right? So because of its emotion video, it can guide the viewer's eye to a particular thing. So your lines and your path can allow you to do that. It allows you to form a connection across different aspects or across different parts of the design. And then other ones we have is your textures. So animated textures add a tactile feel and depth to designs, making them much more engaging and realistic. So let's say, for example, I want to create a video for a construction company. I might not want to just use a plain white background. I can decide to look for a background that is giving a concrete feel, right? Because I want to get a particular kind of audience, or I want to appeal to a particular kind of audience. So I might not want to just use a simple texture. I might want to use a much more rough texture because of the nature of what I want to work on, right? So your textures, they most times they could also work as your images, but we don't just use them as image only. So for your textures, it allows you to add a much more feel and depth to your designs. It allows it to be much more realistic, and it also allows it to be much more engaging. You see, we're using the word engaging again and again, and that's because of it's designs and motion designs. The goal of motion designs is to engage your audience. Because when you create flyers are good, yes, they are very nice, but they would not give us the kind of effects we want motion design to give us. If I see a flyer and I see a motion flyer, the motion flyer should be grabbing my attention more. So the person that is creating the motion flyer would have to do almost double of the work that the person that created the normal flyer did. Why? Because you want to make it much more engaging. And then the next one we have is lighting and shadows. So these elements helps to create a sense of dimension and realism in animations. So this is often used in your designs. You also want to add them to your motion videos. So lightnings allows it to give a sense of realism and also shadows. It allows the object to appear more three-dimensional. So instead of just having just one, like three-dimensional means 3D, right? So that's just the simple thing, 3D. So when you're having 3D, yeah, definitely there have to be a shadow. So you want to make it look much more realistic. And then the next one we have is audio. Now, audio is very, very important. I don't even know why it's appearing now. Audio should have been appearing after your colors, your typography, because audio is very important. If you're talking about the music, if you're talking about the voiceover or sound effect, audio is extremely important. Just imagine I made this video without having an audio. You won't understand. You'll just be reading the text. So your audio is very, very important. Sound effects and music are often synchronized with motion to enhance the impact and emotions of the animation. You see, the thing of the idea behind this is what I'm explaining of these elements is that they have to work hand in hand. For example, as I'm talking, you are reading the text by yourself, right? So the typography is working with my voice at the same time. The background color is also adding to the story, right? So if I decided to use a black color for this video, it might not really interest you, unlike this particular color. That's why if you compare this particular course to most of our courses, you see that it's only this course that's having this particular color, because this course is very, very special. It's motion design, and it's by far one of the best kind of skill anyone can actually learn. You get, so that's why I'm using this color. So everything is created intentionally so that you really understand it. So the audio is a key aspect of is a key element that we use in motion design. Very, very important. Your audio is often synchronized with your text. So if you are saying something, because most people that want to work on motion design project, they're going to tell you that they want a voiceover. So if your voiceover is rolling on the video or it's sounding behind the video, you want to also have the text complementing it. So your audio is very important. Aside from that, you also have your sound effect and stuff like that. And then we have transitions. So transitions is, if you have seen, okay, for example, when I'm through this particular frame, I will just flip to the next frame. I can also flip back, right? So that's transition from one particular frame or from one particular clip to another. So that's simple transition. So it's a technique that allows you to move smoothly from one scene or element to another, ensuring a fluid visual experience. So you are not complicating matter. You are not squeezing everything just because you know. It's very, very seamless, right? Very, very seamless. And the next one we have is text animation. Now, just like you have your other kind of animations, so text animations allow you to move or transform your text in creative way, adding emphasis to it. I think I made an example of this when we were talking about a particular, I don't know, maybe in the previous module. I was talking about how you can, let's say you want to say see you in church tomorrow. When you add your animations, like when you put all of your text, you don't just type everything out like that. You may decide to lay emphasis on Sunday or tomorrow. Let's just put tomorrow. So when you're doing that, you can decide to zoom in on tomorrow and make it bigger than the remaining text. You can decide to change the color to red. So it allows you're adding animation to it and laying emphasis on a particular text. So text animation, it's just the idea that you're not just typing the text anyhow, you are animating it, telling a story with it. And then next one we have is composition. Composition is the arrangement of elements within the frame. When we're talking about frame, we're talking about a particular part of the video. So it's not just a full clip. For example, if you have one clip, you can have different frames within a particular clip. Like let's say we have welcome to church, you can have another thing in front of it. So each of these parts of them is referred to as a frame. Now, a composition is a combination of different elements in a particular frame. So this particular element is talking about how you combine each of these things in a particular frame. You get, so when we go into making longer videos, you get them. 1 second of a video can host like 3 elements at the same time. Another second can hold another 3 elements. So these 3 elements, the way you combine them seamlessly is what referred to as composition. And then the last one we have is particle element. So we used to have small animated elements in motion videos like your spark, smokes, bubble, all of these things. Most of them are just to beautify the scene, to add more dynamic to it, right? To add energy to it, to just make it much more lively. So they are small particles. You can always add them to your videos to look nice, but always ensure that you are not doing it excessively. It's not the core message, it's just a part of it. So these are the elements that we use in motion videos or in motion designs. I really hope you've learned a lot. If you have any questions regarding any one of them, you can ask them. I would advise you to write each of them out so that when we proceed into studying them one after the other, you would know what they stand for and then you would know how to use them, right? So thank you for listening, and I'm going to be seeing you in the next video.